So yesterday I was reading, or 2 days ago, that there was this fucking 35 vehicle pileup in Bakersfield that ended with a lot of people being injured, and two of those injuries were so fucking severe. I think they died on impact, or they died relatively quickly. And all I thought to myself, well, this is the most Bakersfield news ever. A 35 vehicle pileup. Now I laugh because I can't believe how, what's the word? How unsurprised I was. I was like, oh, interesting. Bakersfield being Bakersfield, one of the most dangerous places in California. But I was also thinking about this. Bakersfield is about 80 minutes away from, talking about the Welcome to Bakersfield sign to Hollywood. It's about 80 minutes away. I've timed it before because I've driven to Hollywood from Bakersfield. Like, I left at 6 in the morning and I was in Hollywood like at fucking 7:20 in the morning. And I can't believe that even Bakersfield is really expensive, super expensive. Oh, so the fact that Bakersfield is in a state where it's harder to develop land, there's not as much land to develop because, thank God, in a way, a lot of the land can't be developed on because it's a lot of preserved. And not just that, there's just a lot of legal shit regulations that you have to go through, and it's just so expensive to build. And there's just way more people that want to own a home than there is land to build on. You might say, well, there's a lot of land in Central California. There is, but a lot of it's agriculture. Like, if you drive around Kern County, Bakersfield, you're gonna be like, oh, there's a lot of empty space. But the thing is, a lot of that empty space is fucking fields of produce, or fields that may not have produce, but they grow produce on there. There's a lot of Dutch people that own a shit ton of acres of land that have cows there. So a lot of the land has been already owned. Like, it's crazy. I was driving around Kern County, and there was a lot of mountains. I was like, who the fuck owns these mountains? Because they're all fenced off. Like, going to, what's that one place? Fucking, oh, I can't believe I forgot it. But it's like going towards Tehachapi. I'm not sure if they're calling me now. They're not calling me. But even like most people in Bakersfield seem to be so busy working their ass off so they can put a roof over their head that a lot of them don't seem to actually take advantage of the reality that even though they're in Bakersfield, and some people say Los Angeles is close, it's 2 hours away. Well, I mean, it's still not a bad thing. You can leave your house and like fucking 6 in the morning, be in Los Angeles at 8, and be in San Francisco around what, 10, or I forgot how far San Francisco is from Los Angeles. It might be 3 hours, 6 hours. I forgot. I've only been to San Francisco once. But you can easily do like a day trip every single weekend to some fucking badass place in California. And even if it's just after work, you can drive to, the Kern Canyon and just chill by the river. But don't get in the fucking river ever. That river is dangerous. But Bakersfield is really expensive. Like, it's a tweaker, boring piece of shit place, but if you're not struggling to make ends meet and you have enough left over after your bills, and if you don't have too many kids, like a dumb shit, like, I know some people that have like 5 or 7 kids. In a way, on the long run, that's a good thing, because that means that there's going to be more humans, because we need more humans. But it's not a smart move financially at this current time for those people. But who knows, maybe one of those kids might end up starting a fucking tech company, and then their parents are going to be having their fucking retirement funded very very nicely. Similar to the way David Cho basically funded, I'm like, is that a fucking snake? No, it's not a snake. So similar to the way David Cho lucked out with Facebook stock, and he bought his parents a really expensive home in Los Gatos, California, I think, or Los Feliz or some shit like that. So yeah, but most people in Bakersfield seem to be spending most of their money. They cannot afford to live in Bakersfield almost. Like, they're living paycheck to paycheck. They shouldn't have moved there. They shouldn't have even at the same time, a lot of those people really wouldn't make it. They wouldn't make it to in a place to the point where they're living comfortably, they're always going to be struggling because they simply don't have the IQ, they don't have the skills, the financial management skills to be able to survive and thrive. Well, to thrive. I mean, you could survive anywhere as a homeless person in the United States, but the point of life in the first world is not to survive; it's to thrive, to live comfortably. This is a soda here in Australia, and I'm making some steak right now. I'm gonna make some steak sandwiches with this Scorpion bottle. I'm gonna douse a fucking steak with this. So yeah. So Bakersfield. I mean, you could do worse than Bakersfield. Like you could live in Detroit and Chicago and Oakland. Take a guess what all those places have in common. I'm not gonna say it because telling them the truth, stating the obvious, stating the facts will get you canceled in modern times. So it could be worse. I can't really think of many other places that are worse than Bakersfield, but there's some. I mean, at the end of the day, Bakersfield is more dangerous than 94% of the other cities and towns in the United States. There's 6% places that are much worse crime-wise, but maybe the other places that would be worse crime-wise, like Louisiana. I'm like, sure, it's crime-infested, but Louisiana looks like it's a bunch of fucking fun. Most of the time on my old content of Josh for Bakersfield, that old content was unintentionally funny. And a lot of my subscribers tell me that it's fucking funny. I have a subscriber by the name of Sherry. Well, that's what her fucking Instagram name is. I'm not sure if that's actual her real name. But she was telling me that when I first started talking to her, she was like, I discovered your YouTube channel and I was laughing my ass off, and she said that I hate Bakersfield with a passion. I lived there for a few years and they were the worst years of my life. She hates the people. She hates everything about that fucking city. And there's other things about her that I will not talk about, but the things in her videos that she experienced and what ended up being the outcome of her experiences there. Now there's many different experiences I've spoken about. She had some, not all of them, but some of those, well, let's just say I was correct on many of my videos in the past. I was 100% correct. And seems like pretty much everybody that's ever lived in that town tells me, he's right. Like, it is a boring town. There's not much to do. But I'm not going to deny that I have had some days where I had fun. There has been days in the past where I was like, this is so fucking fun. This is a day full of a lot of excitement. Granted, there's not many. And a lot of those days were leaving that town to go to LAX or go to the airport in Bakersfield to go to fucking Texas, go to Guadalajara, go to Cancun, fucking, go to Paris, Germany, Iceland, Australia, Canada, etc. Fucking leaving California. But there's some things about California that I really love. I love the vibe and the way Orange County looks like, Newport. I've been to the OC when I was a child, a very, very young child. I was about 9 or 8 years old. My mother I lived in Ontario, California, and my mother, she was trying to get a job at Disneyland, and we went to Anaheim so she could apply, fill out an application. Now everything would be online, I reckon. But an average house in Anaheim is like $800,000, which is something that by the time I'm able to save such a quantity, like $800,000, that might take me 10 years, who knows, but then an average house in Orange County might be worth $1.6 million. So yeah, I'm shooting a YouTube video. I'm talking about how expensive California is. An average house is $800,000 in California. Yeah. But there's no way I'm ever going to own a house there. But who knows, maybe I might end up selling a documentary one day if I'm good enough. And then, bam, I sell that shit. And that gives me more work. And then I can come up with the funds to be able to purchase a house in California. That might always be a possibility, but it's highly unlikely. So from the time that I went to the OC, I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was really cool. It seemed like something out of this fucking world. And the place that I have more memories about going to in Southern California was more like Riverside, Los Angeles, and in the San Bernardino area, Inland Empire. I really liked the Inland Empire. I lived for almost 10 years of my life in the Inland Empire. I moved out when I was 9, went to Bakersfield, and when I was 18, I tried to move back. I moved back to Ontario, but I only lasted for 2 weeks. It was so expensive. I lost like 20 pounds in 2 weeks, which wasn't a bad thing. That just shows you like being on your own can help you lose a lot of weight. Like ever since I moved out of my parents, when I moved out of my parents' house, I weighed almost 250 pounds, and right now I weigh like 180. But the least I weighed was 150 something pounds out of my parents' house. I have family in Delano, but yeah, I've been to a lot of other places in California.